Yo, what's up, guys? Figured I would do a little late night live stream. Let's try to find some bets. So I've explained this before, but there's tons of sports books. I mean, all these books do the same thing. They take bets and they pay you out if you win, and they try to make money through the VIG, through a spread. So, I've said this before, but I use, and I'm going to focus on, obviously, the books that I have access to. You may have access to different sports books. I don't know where you're located. Maybe you use this book, maybe you use FanDuel, whatever. Maybe you use these other books. But, long story short, as a sports bettor, I give out plays on Parlay Play, Underdog Fantasy, where we are just, we've been rolling. Pretty crazy how many bets we've been able to win on Underdog Fantasy in a row. But trying to do these live streams more just because some of the really good lines move. We've had some good plays on PrizePicks. I mean, overall, just been doing pretty well. So I'm pretty happy about that. But anyways, we're going to go through some bets. But again, I'm not saying, these are the only bets you should place. Again, you can see there's a lot of bets on FanDuel, these different sports books. But, unsurprisingly, I care about my sports betting profits more than yours, no offense. But, I'm obviously going to focus on the main books I use. And that's not actually true. But, obviously I'm going to focus on the books I use, like Desert Diamond. I think this sports book's only in Arizona. When I was in Arizona, I used it. It's a super profitable book. They screw up tons of lines, Desert Diamond, but it's only in one state and I can't use it. And what's crazy about the US, right, is all these different books are legal in different locations and stuff like that. So the more books you have, the better. But what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on the books I use. So we can start out on Fliff. So I've already placed this bet, but what's kind of interesting about Fliff, and I'm not sure why, but it used to work on my computer as kind of like a Mac app, but now it's saying it's not working on my computer, but it's working on my phone. But it's like a sports book available almost everywhere in the US. So if you don't have it, recommend it. But regardless, the strategy of sports betting is pretty simple. I feel like, it's like most recreational sports bettors. You think, oh, I watch sports, I can beat the market, I can beat the books if you decide to gamble. But the truth of the matter is it's the same thing as the stock market. It's like people who are like, oh, I read this article about Facebook, I'm sure it's going to go up, right? That's not the way you win long-term. That's not the way you beat all these trading firms and hedge funds, right? The way you beat them is by following data and having an edge. So you can see here, this play on Fliff, again, I already bet it. I gave it out on Twitter as well. But Fliff, what's crazy about sports betting, if you think about it, right, is the market is fragmented. So by that, I mean, if you think about the price of Facebook stock, this is the price, right? There may be different fees if you go to Fidelity versus Robinhood, whatever, but you're not going to see Facebook stock at $200 on E-Trade and $400 on Fidelity. That doesn't happen. But in sports betting, the market is inefficient, which means all these books try to set lines independently. They all try to set their own markets. Facebook has one stock price. In sports betting, you get all these bookmakers trying to set their own lines. They're all trying to be unique. And you basically just pick them off, hit bets when they screw up. So this is a great example. And I already bet it. But again, there's another play here. But it's a pretty simple strategy, right? No offense, girl, but you're not going to be able to outsmart FanDuel by watching sports. FanDuel is a $1 billion company with hundreds of employees, better engineers, better data feeds than you. You're not going to be able to create your own model to be smarter than FanDuel. You literally stand a 0% chance, 0.0001, whatever, if you want to win long term. The way you beat books is you use their odds against each other, right? You look for where there's big discrepancies because they all try to set lines independently. And you can see here, every sports book has the yes run first inning, the over half of a total run, heavily favored. Every sports book has the over favored to different degrees, right? FanDuel and DraftKings are roughly minus 145. Those are two data points we want to consider as a sports bettor. Pinnacle, which is known to be the sharpest, one of the smartest sports books, they have this at minus 128. So all these books are setting lines at different levels, but you kind of get the point. It's like we treat all these books as a data point, and then it becomes pretty clear, like, hey, this play on Fliff, even if you don't know anything about baseball, has solid value. So I'll also lock in this one on the Braves game. Here it's like, kind of similar concept. There's nothing super confusing. It's kind of like, people love to overcomplicate sports betting. And the truth is, no matter what you do, no matter how much sports you watch, you're never going to be able to beat the market with your gut or with your sports knowledge. So I just bet this. Again, it's not working on my computer, so I had to bet it with my phone. But like the way you beat books is by finding market discrepancies, right? You think about the way a hedge fund works. No offense, you may think you're smarter than them, but like, they're doing a lot more sophisticated stuff. These trading firms and people who actually make money in the stock market, they're following data. And it's the same thing we're doing as sports bettors. We're following the market information. All these sports books have different odds. They're moving around lines. So it doesn't look like odds have changed. Well, you can see here, Caesars has moved around lines. Like these books have different lines. So we're following all this. The market's moving, weather changes, all that type of crap moves lines. But regardless, whatever. Let's just kind of move on to actually hitting some plays. So we can start on, I don't know where we want to start. Maybe we start on Underdog Fantasy, then we take a look at PrizePicks, whatever. What's up, guys? 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 Anyways, let's hit some bets. So 10 p.m., what's great about late at night is, these sports books aren't that big of companies. They don't have that many employees. So like you think about all these platforms, right? Underdog Fantasy, who knows how many employees they have, maybe 75, who knows? But like they have, tens of thousands of lines to manage, and they're setting their own lines. And same thing with PrizePicks, and same with every other sports book. So we're kind of in like a race to beat them. We're trying to find out where they're screwing up, offering value before they do, right? So some of these good plays, they don't, last long, but you can try to get in on them quick. So we can go ahead and kind of like take a look at, this tool right here. And this tool doesn't do anything complicated. It's called the Fantasy Optimizer. And it works mainly for these fantasy sites, Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks. Maybe they're legal in your location. Again, maybe they're not, right? Depending on the books you use, like these platforms all are slightly different, at least. They all accept bets, but whatever. So the way Underdog Fantasy works is, right, they accept bets, but what's interesting about Underdog Fantasy is you can only bet on parlays, right? If I just want to bet on this little guy, whoever knows what his name is, like it tells me you have to place at least 2 picks. So Underdog Fantasy is a parlay only book. You can only place parlays. You need at least 2 picks. So what we can do is we can kind of like, okay, we can hunt through the market and we can look for, whatever, some good plays. So we want to go to 3-man non-insured, which is typically what I'm placing on Underdog Fantasy. And again, the strategy is not that complicated. It's just like, it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like this is very different than saying these plays are locks, right? I'm not saying that at all. We're finding plays with an edge and aiming to beat the books long-term. Every book we go after, every book we place, bets on. So if you take a look at this homie, Quitotioner, right? It's like you may not know anything about esports. That's fine, right? It literally doesn't matter because guess what? Even if you watched every esports game, no offense, PrizePicks has dozens of employees watching their lines, traders, right? They have better data feeds than you. They have better models than you. So it doesn't matter if you watch every esports game. Doesn't matter, right? Which is what if you look into anyone smart who talks about trading stocks, I mean smart people, not a bunch of idiots on Reddit or something like that. Like, it's really hard to beat the market long term. The stock market, it's no different in sports betting, if you're not following data. But I'm not saying this play is a lock, it's guaranteed to win, anything like that. But if you take a look at this guy, right, it's like, it's crazy, right? This guy his line is 38.5 on Underdog Fantasy. And it's like, okay, like who cares? But if we look at PrizePicks, which is a platform that works basically in the exact same way as Underdog Fantasy. But again, all sportsbooks set lines independently. They have this guy's line at 36, right? It's like looking at Fidelity and the stock is priced at 38.50. Then you look at E-Trade and it's priced at 36. And then you can look at another sportsbook. Not a ton of sportsbooks post esports player props. But then you look at, this third data point, parlay play. So you look at, whatever, Charles Schwab, and they're pricing it at 35.50. And it's like, whoa, Underdog Fantasy is a pretty clear discrepancy versus where other books are pricing it, right? They have their line a lot higher. And in general, like I've noticed more value. Lines tend to move quicker. Hopefully this bet wins. This bet's not going to win, is it? Whatever. Anyways, this play's not going to win, but is what it is. It doesn't seem like, at least. So long story short, like we're just looking for plays with an edge on Underdog Fantasy, and this play seems pretty good, right? We have 2 data points, PrizePicks, sophisticated model. They're good at setting lines. They have the line at 36, parlay play 35.5, Underdog Fantasy 38.5. It's like, okay, that play seems pretty good, right? And then we can kind of like, take a look at some other lines. It looks like there's a fair amount of decent-ish plays for tomorrow. So we can take a look at Sabrina, Ionescu. Not exactly sure, but you can see her rebound line is 5.5 on Underdog. FanDuel has a rebound line at 5.5 as well, but they have the over heavily favored. DraftKings is higher. They have her at 6.5. Bovada has the over heavily juiced. But like long story short, when you're using this tool, if you use this tool, you really just want to take the picks in green. It's not particularly complicated, but I kind of like to explain why I'm going with the pick and stuff like that. So this can be the second pick we go with, and then who knows, maybe lines moved. So we can kind of refresh this. And we can take a look maybe at some other plays. And again, OddsJam is a tool. And I don't mean you should trust your gut and not, follow data. I just mean I try to look at lines and piece together why I think plays are good, which I think is valuable. Maybe not everyone does. For example, here for this player, Quidiner, right? His line is 38.5 on Underdog. We have 2 other sports books telling us the line should be lower. So we're more confident than this next play, Shin under 30.5, because sure, PrizePicks is lower, but all we see here is a discrepancy, parlay play. This book, they're not posting a line yet. So it's not completely clear yet, right? Which book is screwing up? Is it PrizePicks that's too low? Or is it Underdog Fantasy that's too high? So when you have other data points, it becomes much more clear. And unfortunately, the main sports books, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, they don't post esports player props. Otherwise, this would, be a little easier. So what we can do is we can kind of take a look at some of these other plays. So we have Rich, he's on Team Dig. So it's also useful to know kind of what team they play for if you want to look for correlation. And, it doesn't seem like either of those 2 players are playing in the same game, so it's not super relevant. And whatever, maybe we take this, right? Natasha Cloud. Her line is 12.5 on Underdog Fantasy. Not a ton of books have lines yet, but DraftKings and Betano, 2 sports books, have her line at 11.5. So they have her a full point lower. Again, we found a discrepancy in the market. So it's okay, this play seems good, right? This would be the play to go with. So we'll give, an Underdog Fantasy reduced my betting limit today to $100, which is, pretty annoying because before I was able to get 250 or 500. Now it's just 100. So kind of is what it is, whatever, books can do what they want, but we'll place this entry here in a sec. And again, if you don't or not, and it looks like this play moved. So when I talk about speed being important, I mean, someone who probably was tailing moved the line, and these lines can move quickly. Hopefully some of you were able to get it down, but now I have to find a new pick, which is annoying. But what we can do is we can, obviously find another pick. So I do like this play on Jose Abreu. All the sports books have his line at 1.5. So whatever, we'll take this. If he gets 2 singles, whatever. So I'm going to lock in this pretty quickly. Hopefully some other people were able to get the other play a little quicker. And again, not a lock, not saying this is, guaranteed to win. We're just kind of finding plays with an edge. And it looks like, we've obviously been doing pretty well, and it seems like the plays we have open overall are doing halfway decent. So here's the play, right? And, overall, again, there's some plays on Underdog Fantasy, whatever, there's some other discrepancies. But what we can do is we can kind of, I don't want to keep this live stream. I know it's late, super, super long. But another platform is called Hot Streak. And I've explained this platform before. I've been having pretty good success on it. I won a pretty big entry, $664, whatever. But what's great about this platform is every single hour. So it's every single hour. Yeah, what's up, guys? And anyways, let's go through this. So let's go back to Hot Streak. So this is a sports book I use. And again, I've used, probably 50 sports books at this time. I mean, FanDuel, DraftKings, Desert Diamond, all the sports books, all the fantasy sites, I've been on them. Depending on your location, you'll have different books. I'm initially from Virginia. I had a job in Pennsylvania. I've been tons of different places and done the sports books in those locations. But what's kind of cool about this Hot Streak platform, which may be a platform available in your location, and I included my refer a friend code below. So if you sign up, they give you a $200 deposit match. So you put in $200, they give you $200 for free. It's literally a free $200. But what's cool about this platform, because again, all these books are basically the same thing, but they all work in slightly different ways, is what's cool about this platform is you'll notice they run these hourly promos. So you can see here, it's literally 10 p.m. on a Tuesday, and they're running a promo. Hopefully you can see. It says for this James McCann guy, right? And I found this play on the optimizer. They're boosting his over half of a run to score a run to, they're boosting it by, to 10%, whatever, profitable. And granted, who knows if they're telling the truth, if this play is actually good. So because OddsJam is telling us it's 12.34% profitable, but whatever, you get the point. According to them, they run these odds boosts every hour. Only $10 max bet size, so I'm not trying to act like this is something that's going to make you a billionaire. But you can see here, for this James McCann player, it's pretty simple. Do I know anything about James McCann? No. Do I care about him? Not at all. But what I do know is, Hot Streak is giving me plus 220 on him to score a run. And the average of other sports books is roughly, plus 165. Right? Plus 170. So we're getting 50 cents of improvement on Hot Streak relative to the other sports books, right? So this is just like rational sports betting. No offense. FanDuel's smarter than you, smarter than me, smarter than not DraftKings. I apologize. Smarter than your friend who watches sports. Anyone can win a bet one time. Anyone can have a winning week. It's really about having a long-term advantage, right? And this play, I mean, it should be clear as day, right? We can go through the math of how to calculate your profit margin, your EV percentage, but I've done a million YouTube videos. I've probably done 2,000 YouTube videos at this point. You can go watch them all. If you want to get deep into the math behind how do sports books work, how do you calculate your profit margin, all this stuff, I've already done a video on, can guarantee you. But the general high level concept is find value, right? It's pretty simple, right? If you told me I could sell Facebook stock for $400, I would put a lot of money on that. If you told me I could buy it for $200, I would put a lot of money on it. Do I know anything about Facebook? I mean, not really, to be honest. I don't know how not really. But again, this price is based on, where millions of people, really smart people, right? Everyone's always thinking about if a stock is overvalued or undervalued. Every hedge fund, every mutual fund, every smart person in the world is thinking about if a stock is a buy or a sell. So this price is where supply and demand are equal. That's called fair value, right? So it's the same thing here. Sportsbook odds are based on sportsbooks that are smarter than you, and then also supply and demand, right? If everyone comes in and bets this guy to score a run, sportsbooks are going to continue to drop his lines. Just like if everyone buys Facebook stock, the price goes up. Demand is higher than supply. It's the same thing in sports betting. It's literally the exact same thing. Sports books don't just be like, oh, we're never going to move odds. The Rays are, whatever, going to be whatever. Like they're moving odds constantly, which you can see, a lot of these sports books are just posting odds. But again, on DraftKings, right, they're constantly changing odds, right? If all the action's coming in on the over, you'll see DraftKings move the line on the over 54 minutes ago, as you can see on OddsJam, from -130 to -145. That is information. Why did they move the line? Right? Maybe their model updated. Maybe all the action's coming in on the over. I mean, who knows, right? So good platform to get. So really what I do is I just kind of like, check different platforms. And, I mean, nothing super complicated. Lines are dropping all the time. I've been talking more recently about esports just because, honestly, I didn't look into esports much. But, literally look at Underdog Fantasy. It's like an unlimited scroll. They probably have 10, 15, 20,000 odds on their platform, lines on their platform at any given time. Maybe not that high. Now it seems like a lot, right? So they're not going to be able to keep everything in check. So as, smart bettors, sharp bettors, however you want to consider it, we have opportunity. So we can take a look at parlay play. So here's an example of a good play on parlay play, right? This Gory guy. So let's go back here. And again, more sports books you have, more profitable bets. And again, all these books run promos, right? This bet, Otani's, basis line, 0.5, right? Obviously that's pretty good, right? His line is usually at 1.5. So they're giving you discounts. So this is a promo that PrizePicks runs. All these books run different promos. We just ran through the hot streak one. So the more books you have, the better. But you can see right here, what I want to make sure of is okay, is there actually enough value to create a slip? Because on parlay play, you want to place 3 pick entries. So, or what am I saying? You want to place 5 pick entries with insurance. So I'm kind of just following the data. It's nothing super complicated. We can make it more complicated. And there are some strategies you can use to improve a bit, maybe make a little more money. But in general, the high level concept is pretty simple. This Zeka guy, right, on Hanwha Life Esports. I've never watched an esports game in my life. I don't care. I literally don't care. But you can see his line is 8.5 on parlay play. Great. That's cool, right? You look at Underdog Fantasy, they have his line at 8, right? So lower. So we found a line discrepancy. Then you look at PrizePicks, and they have little homie's line at 7.5. So it's okay, we have 2 sports books that are bigger than parlay play, have more customers than parlay play, so they're probably smarter. They get more betting volume than parlay play, telling us this line should be lower. Follow the data. Again, anyone who thinks they're smarter, betting with their gut, I don't know what to tell you, right? I worked as a trader for a long time on Wall Street. All we get, your day-to-day is everyone thinks they're smarter than the stock market and they all make you money, right? And it's kind of the same thing here. Everyone thinks they're smarter than the sports books with their gut and they all make the sports books money. So people like us, the smart data-driven people, can actually hop in and make some money. So you see the same thing with this K's homie, right? Parlay play has his line at 11. Underdog and PrizePicks have his line at 10. And by saying OddsJam is just software, what I mean by that is it's not perfect. It's always updating. It's dealing with OddsJam is literally updating, millions of odds every second. And gambling is a little complicated. So it's really hard to make a perfect product, right? But if you look at this ghetto person, Gavado, his line is 10 on parlay play. Underdog is lower, but PrizePicks also has his line at 10. So it's not really clear. If anything, it seems like Underdog Fantasy is the side. And again, parlay play has really low juice. They have pretty good payouts. So it's not hard to beat parlay play. What's annoying about them is they have pretty low betting limits. But anyways, what I was trying to say is I try to look at okay, where are all books setting lines? where is positive correlation, right? Like correlation, like these are good things to consider. So here we have 5 plays. In esports, it's ideal, but you can still be profitable if you don't do it. But it's ideal if you play players on the same team to go over together, but you can't do that on parlay play. You can only do it on PrizePicks. So you'll notice on PrizePicks, right? Like these 2 homies, I paired to both go over. Man, they have the weirdest names. I thought this was Douglas. It's not Douglas, it's Douglas. Right? He's on the same team as Sajajak, right? Like, there's no rocket science going on here. If he goes over, then this guy is more likely to go over. It's like teammates are likely to do well together or bad together. So you either want to pair 2 overs or 2 unders. Whereas players on opposing teams like Bolulu and Armo, they're on opposing teams, so you want to take 1 over and 1 under. And again, like I've explained correlation in other videos and on Twitter and stuff, so I don't want to talk about the same thing a million times and just piss people off. So, again, like I encourage you, maybe, but like, yeah, I mean, truly, like when I started sports betting, I spent a lot of time just like, researching stuff like that and putting, any questions you have, reach out to me, DM me on Twitter. You can comment on my stuff. You can email me, whatever. Is like the more you learn and the more you understand about how sports books work, how do they try to make money off you, the more likely you are to like be really profitable. Because once you understand them and what's optimal and the proper strategy, like it's obviously easier to make money for obvious reasons. So what we can do is just kind of lock in this slip on parlay play, right? This 5-pick slip, 5 esports picks. And again, am I saying any pick is a lock, right? No, there's no BS. I try, right? Here are my picks, all from the optimizer, nothing super complicated. So Gory play already moved, right? So you can see this Gory guy. Did they completely remove him or did they just bump down his line? They moved him to 4. Right. So when I talk about books moving fast, like, you kind of got to be on it for some of the best plays. It's just how it is. And it stinks, obviously, in some ways, but, whatever is what it is. So what we can do is find another play, right? Real quickly. So on parlay play on parlay play, you want to go with 5-pick entries. And I have an article about it that is pretty useful and stuff like that. So I'll share it here in a second. So we can look for a play that has positive correlation here. So like who is rich on? So what we want to do is we want to look for a player on the opposing team to go the opposite direction. So for example, this rich guy, he's on the opposite team of Double Lift, but OddsJam is recommending we take both unders, and that's not something I want to do. So we can look at Bertle. And again, it's, kind of annoying. It takes a little bit of time. Hanwha. Do we have a player from Hanwha? So again, we're taking both unders. I don't want to take both unders. OddsJam is recommending an under for this guy, and we already have an under for the player from the opposing team. So we don't want to take that, right? We want to hold off. So it seems like not all unders. So we can check out this play, Willer, over 3.5. What team is he on? He's playing Hanwha. So this is what we want, right? This has positive correlation. I'm not letting it move on me if someone bets ahead of me or if oh my God. So Canyon moved. So long story short, I mean, you get it. But I will say this, Willer plays good. Positive correlation is obviously something we want to look for. So we can try to find some other good one. So like, why is this positive correlation? It's pretty simple. If Willer goes over, then the person on the opposing team, Zeka, is more likely to go under. And again, there are articles about this and kind of stuff like that, but, Anyway, so we can just take the under 4.5 here and try to get a slip down. Oh my God. So maybe not. Maybe we're not getting a parlay slip down. Man, I thought live streams were an effective way to get out bets, but that may not be the case. So we'll go over to parlay plays moving quicker than I remember. So we can go back to Underdog Fantasy. We've already hit some good bets. And we can see if there's anything, that like jumps off the page to us. If not, I mean, whatever. So you can see there's some CFL, but let's focus on esports. CFL, Canadian Football League, not college football, sadly, we just added. So this play seems pretty good on PrizePicks. So maybe we can create a little PrizePick slip. So what I can do is I can go here to, what do I want to go to? This, and we can check out this UFC play it's recommending, see what's going on. So it's recommending, obviously UFC a little annoying because the game is, a few days away. But regardless, if there's profitable bets, as you've just seen, profitable bets, they're not going to last forever. So you can see all the books, right? We want to go to market is we want to go to total rounds. And then we want to go to this fight. So you can see books have the line at 2.5. Some books even have the over 2.5 favored. Pinnacle, which is, again, is known to be one of the smarter sports books, they have the line. This play actually seems really good. They have the line at 2.5, right? PrizePicks has the line at 2. And again, 2 versus 2.5 is a big deal. So what we can do is we can go to MMA. And it may be a little confusing, like, whatever, 12.5. So did they already move this? 12.5 means 2.5 rounds in the UFC. So maybe OddsJam is screwing this up. I'm not particularly sure. So we can refresh this. Right, 12.5 fight time minutes means 2.5 rounds. So maybe this is wrong. So whatever, maybe we skip it. And then we can just see, is there any other plays on PrizePicks? If not, don't want to force it. Nothing amazing. I mean, we can go back to parlay play, see which plays are available. Again, I never want to force a bet just because, whatever, we're on a live stream. So I don't even know if we hit any bets. We hit a few on Fliff, but did we hit anything on Underdog Fantasy? We did hit something on Underdog Fantasy. So whatever. I mean, not a ton of bets today. Market's moving pretty quick. Which kind of sucks. And it doesn't seem like there's a ton of lines available, or at least a ton of crazy big discrepancies. So, I mean, maybe. Let's try to find something. So let's go back to parlay play. We can go here. And I forget which of these lines move. So here, this Muncie guy, right? Man, they create the weirdest names. His line is 40.5 on parlay play. Underdog has him higher at 43. PrizePicks has him at 42. So it's okay, pretty big discrepancy. So we'll try to place this, but I'm pretty sure one of these lines moved. It's this line on K's. But honestly, that's okay. So now we can try to place it. And there we go, right? So, this is the slip. And again, Willer and Zeka are on opposite teams. So in esports, I mean, if you bet on esports or, you take anything from this video, yo, what's up, guys? I'll take a look at Jock Market here in a sec. Anyways, let me go ahead and let me take a look. So what we can do is we can, what was I talking about? But anyways, if you learn anything from this video in League of Legends, right, players from opposing teams take one guy over, one guy under. Only on PrizePicks, right? On Underdog, you can't pair players from the same team. I mean, you'll notice, right? If you go to esports, right? If you try to take people from the same team, I mean, what you'll notice is they don't let you take players from the same team, right? Anyways, I want to go back here. Yeah, parlay play is not allowed in New York. Anyways, man, there are some sad souls here. Man, the people who just stay up all night to be annoying, I just feel bad for them, bro. Kreller 17. People have too much time. Anyways, I'm showing you how I bet, what tools I use to bet. You know, I've said it a million times. If you use a different, you know, if you bet a different way, like go your way, that's fine. You know, you don't have to show up on live streams and just be annoying. You can go to bed at, you know, 1:35 a.m. and be normal, or get a girlfriend, or get a life. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is in esports, you can't bet players, right, from the same team on Underdog Fantasy. But an added benefit about PrizePicks is you can bet players from the same team, both to go over or both to go under. So on PrizePicks specifically, you know, when you're looking for plays in general, yo, bro, I don't have the time or mental bandwidth to deal with people this fucking dumb. Dumb. Like, I just don't have the bandwidth. I mean, like, bro, I don't have the bandwidth for people this negative and this stupid. Like, I'm not trying to like be annoying, but like, you're a fucking idiot. Anyways, I'm gonna call it a day there. So, anyways, long story short, like, if my plays lose, if you're not happy with like any of the plays I give out, I mean, you can email me. That's fine. But like, you know, I hate annoying people. I got an anger problem, maybe for annoying users. But anyways, if we go back here, you know, we can take a look at some of these plays. It's just like, see if anything's on PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. And again, these hot streak promos, they reset every hour. So feel free to take a look at them every hour. I mean, whenever I'm, you know, on my computer, I try to check hot streak, bet the $10 odds boost. But yeah, I think I'll call it a day for now. Hopefully, you know, you guys were able to get down this underdog play. It was helpful. And, you know, I'll be back on live stream early tomorrow morning. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll chat soon.